Hi my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. We're now exactly 1 month away from the Kenobi series dropping on Disney+, and we do have quite a few tidbits to talk about. Most notably of all of them is something that many Star Wars fans have been speculating about ever since it was confirmed that Obi-Wan and Vader will face off against one another in the flesh in this show. Before we even knew there was going to be a Kenobi series, it was assumed that the meeting between the two in A New Hope was their first encounter since their duel on Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith. But the Disney Plus series is going to give us a rumored 2 fights between the two, and many fans are wondering if these 2 fights between episodes 3 and 4 are going to change one very iconic and crucial line from A New Hope. As we see in episode 4, Vader senses that his former master Kenobi has arrived on the Death Star, at which point he utters the line, "I sense something, a presence I've not felt since." Given the revelations of 2005's Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, it has long been inferred that Vader was referring to their duel on Mustafar. Well, this no longer appears to be the case, and in a new interview with Entertainment Weekly, Deborah Chow was asked about this iconic line, and this is what she had to say. "It was definitely something we were mindful of, and for me also taking on George Lucas's legacy, it's an honor to take these characters and be able to tell a new story with them. So I wanted to be very respectful to what exists and not change anything that George intended originally or anything like that." She continued by saying obviously there is room for interpretation here, and telling the story that they did have these 20 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and obviously something happened in these 20 years, and that there are things from our series where there's going to be a little bit more room for interpretation on. I absolutely love Deborah Chow, and I'll tell you what, she's going to do a phenomenal job with this show, staying true to the canon and also George Lucas's legacy. But having said that, my dear friends, there is still going to be some expanding of the things we know. And even though she says there is room for interpretation, if Obi-Wan and Vader are going to meet and fight and it's not in a Force vision or dream, then the line from A New Hope inevitably changes. It's just no longer going to be the same, because between the two trilogies, the two of them would have had an extra encounter. Now, Star Wars has a long history of recontextualizing things, and personally, I just don't see this as a big deal. Having said that, a lot of fans have expressed dissatisfaction with this plot point. But you've got to remember that it was always in the cards for this show that the two of them were going to fight. Even Kathleen Kennedy said 2 years ago, this is going to be the rematch of the century. And let's be real here, they would not have gotten Hayden and Ewan back just to have the two of them not face off against each other once again. And I will reiterate, as Deborah teased, this is not the only bit of dialogue from the original trilogy that's going to be given a new meaning. It's also likely that Vader's line to Luke in Return of the Jedi is going to be recontextualized too. And I'm talking about when he says,
"Obi-Wan once thought as you do."
For years we've assumed that Vader was talking about Obi-Wan's encounter with him on Mustafar, but maybe in the Kenobi series during one of their duels, Obi-Wan is going to make another plea to Vader, telling him that it's not too late. And if you remember, and a huge spoiler warning, making Star Wars mentioned in one of their leaks that Obi-Wan is going to make an emotional plea to Vader, using Padme as an example of someone who believed in the good in Anakin. So what an emotional series we're in for, and as I say guys, we're exactly now just 1 month away. And speaking of which, a 1 month to go promo just dropped. There is absolutely no new footage, and it's very brief. Hopefully we do get a final trailer at some stage, maybe on May the 4th. But you know what? This is a very reassuring sign that marketing is about to pick up in a huge way. Now that's not the only piece of Kenobi news we have, my dear friends, because Deborah Chow has also teased some surprising character appearances. Recently we heard Rupert Friend, the Grand Inquisitor, say that this show is going to be Easter egg galore, and there are going to be some quote wonderful cameos too. I think we're all keeping our fingers crossed for Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Ghost, but we must also wonder who else could appear. Well, in a new interview with Total Film, Deborah Chow sat down to discuss the series and even teased there are going to be multiple characters returning that Star Wars fans are familiar with. That's right guys, not just 1 or 2, but multiple characters. She went on to say, quote, "Obi-Wan's going on a journey. There's going to be different people that come into his life. One of the things I was trying to do with this series was to have the legacy and who's important in Obi-Wan's life, and to also have some new characters, so it's going to be a mixture of the two. But I do think there are some surprises to come, I hope." So aside from Obi-Wan trying to seek the voice of his former master on Tatooine, we must wonder who else he's going to come across. All of the leaks states that Bail Organa is an absolute certainty in this show, and one of the recent pictures from Total Film shows Obi-Wan in very Bail Organa-esque clothing. One of the earliest leaks from the series is that Bail is going to come to Tatooine, speak with Obi-Wan in his cave, and convince him to go off-world to protect Leia. So Bail Organa making an appearance would certainly be a welcome surprise. I don't want to speculate too much on other characters who might appear because we simply don't know, and I don't want to get anyone's hopes up with mere speculation. I have mentioned people like Dexter Jettster in the past, especially given his recent resurgence in some of the upcoming prequels novels. Now, in this interview, Deborah Chow also notes that Obi-Wan Kenobi could be getting more than one season. Even though it's been labelled a limited series, Chow teases we could see more Kenobi in the future. In her own words, she said the following: "We really did conceive this like a beginning, middle and end. It's one big story and it was always meant to be, but you can never truly tell what happens in the future. But if another series were to happen, it'd be the same process of making sure that there was a real story to tell." Now, after the Kenobi series, unless there's a second season to follow up, there is not much more substance to Kenobi's story that can be shown before his appearance and death in A New Hope. They could obviously explore earlier in his life, but what I will say is that the Kenobi series could spawn a spin-off series, maybe an Inquisitor show, or maybe even connected to Jedi Fallen Order. The sequel to the game is going to be announced at Star Wars Celebration, but that could spawn a live-action series involving Cameron Monaghan. Given the Force-sensitive colony that we're about to see on Jabim and other connections that are going to be in the show, a live-action Fallen Order series could connect to the Kenobi show in that way. So many possibilities. And just one more thing for Kenobi, my dear friends, we have some amazing concept art which has just come out. On the left hand side we see the original design for Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. He looks majestic in the sandy desert. And then we see him on his EOP. We have seen a similar piece of concept art like this one, and I really hope the EOP in this series is called Rue, just like she was in the Kenobi Legends novel by John Jackson Miller. We also see the Tatooine transport that's going to take Obi-Wan to Anchorhead. And finally, on the bottom right, we have a small Imperial shuttle with concept art of stormtroopers, and this one was made by Benjamin Last. This could very well be a shuttle used by the Inquisitors. But let me know your thoughts of this and everything we spoke about in the comments down below. How are you feeling just 1 month away from Obi-Wan Kenobi dropping on Disney+? If you enjoyed this one, guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and a massive welcome if you are. And if you want more videos that you can't find here on YouTube, then either click the join button down below for extra perks, or consider becoming a patron with the link down there in the description. But until the next one, my dear friends, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.